thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Our team appreciates it. They've worked incredibly hard this week, believe it or not, to put all this together. You guys know in Jerry's office, it is not the person standing up here that does any of it, okay? It is all of them, especially Narissa back there. I won't make her stand up, but she's the person that's trying to not look at everybody, who has been yelling at me all week to get this book done, because I was supposed to have it done Monday. And every day she keeps coming and leaning in my office going, this has got to be printed. When's it going to be done? So Wednesday night, I'm like, I promise I'll have it for you Thursday morning. And about 2 o'clock yesterday, I finally got it done for her. So it was a little bit of a struggle. But what happened was I was trying to cram as much stuff into the next 3 days as I possibly could for you. So anyways, but seriously, thank you everybody for coming. So what is DispoEXPOsed? So, and I think a lot of us have had separate conversations, you know, as people signed up or as you come in. So I've been an investor for a long, long time, probably too long, probably as long as Lee. And I've taken a gazillion courses and boot camps and paid for coaches and done just all of that stuff. And the one thing that I realized when I got my own company and was looking to scale up is there's like no information on how to sell properties. It's just not there. There's nothing out there. And it's always like that last chapter, we were talking about this earlier, that says, you know, if you have a good deal, it will sell. And what a bunch of crap that is, right? Because just having, you know, we talked about this, just having a piece of paper does not sell your contract, right? And so that was what started this. And I was reaching out, helping a lot of people, and I used to do coaching a bunch of years ago. And people were like, well, how does your team do it? How are you guys nationwide? How do you do all of these things? And it just got to the point where so many people were asking for coaching. We started a separate coaching program. And that we've been running for 6 or 8 months now, Johnny?
Yes.
Yeah, we got a great group of people in that. But then even with that, people were like, well, can we come to your office? And they're like, no, like we don't want to we have a lock on that door for a reason. The whole story, we used to have another office down the road, and Heather will tell you, it was like first floor, storefront, and all day long people were rolling in that thing. Can we sell you a copier? Do you need to lease anything? And like the one great thing about being here was, and we put a mag lock on the door, is nobody comes and visits us. It's fantastic. It's the greatest thing. But anyways, so we sort of reluctantly agreed to do an event like this. But it's fun, but it's definitely, they are awesome and put up with the nonsense of me getting all this stuff together. So what are we going to cover? On the next page is a schedule for you, and for the people that are watching the live stream, you should have that as well. So we were originally going to, or maybe you don't. Do you? Mm-hmm. You do? Okay, I just don't have it with me. We were originally going to try to start at 2, but as people were telling me what all their flight arrangements are and travel, because there's another event going on this week at Birmingham, Houston, and some of those people are coming here. So that's why we pushed it to 4, which of course turned into 4:20. But so we're going to run today until about 7, roughly. Tomorrow night we're going to go downtown. I'm going to take you all to dinner. We're going to do a couple cool things. And we were originally going to try and do that tonight, but I figured with everybody driving and flying, and nobody was going to have any energy for that. So we'll do all that tomorrow. So when we finish at 7, if you guys want to go somewhere for dinner, that's cool. Whatever you want to do. But we're going to start tomorrow at 9 a.m. Well, we're not going to start. At 9 o'clock we'll have like some breakfast stuff, bagels, donuts, coffee, some stuff. So you don't have to go stop someplace for breakfast. We'll probably get started right at 9:30, and we have a lot of stuff to go through. As you can see, it's like a 60-page book, and it was heading to 90 until Heather's like, stop, you've got to take some stuff out. I'm like, how about we just condense slides? How about we just do that? So that's our schedule. We'll run tomorrow till 5 o'clock, and then I've got something cool downtown. One of the great, Chattanooga is an awesome, awesome city. We're a small city of 200,000 people. I think there's 240, 250 somewhere in there in the whole county in the MSA. It's a really neat, small downtown. Got a nice river that goes through, surrounded by mountains. We have Lookout Mountain, Signal Mountain, and Missionary Ridge. So if you're into like Civil War history at all, a lot of it happened here, right? Sort of our downtown area we call like a bowl, because you have Lookout Mountain, Signal Mountain, and Missionary Ridge here. During the Civil War, all they did was fire cannons back and forth at each other. Just down into Georgia here, we have Battlefield National Park. What is it? Chickamauga National Park. That's it. National Battlefield Park. So yeah, lots of history and stuff that goes on here. So it's a great place to live. So tomorrow night, I've got set up reservations for all of you guys to go to Chattanooga Whiskey, which is a really cool thing. It's a company that restarted and had been out of business for like 100 years. And their little, what's it called, their downtown experimental distillery, right? So you get to kind of go through there and see how they do it. They give you a little tasting, and then we're all going to go to dinner after that. So that's kind of how we're going to end tomorrow. And then, but we'll be downtown, and you can walk around and see stuff. Sheik was there last time, and it's really cool. Also, everybody at Sheik over there, he's videotaping everything. He'll be running around taking pictures. Hopefully nobody's shy. And then Sunday, same thing. We'll start at 9, get really started at 9:30, and we've got lunch coming both days, so you don't have to leave for that. We're taking care of all of that. And I'm thinking 2, but if you guys want to stay till 5, I live 2 miles away, so I'm good to stay all day. So however long you want to stay. If y'all have flight stuff on Sunday, just let me know. So anyways, so what I'm hoping that everybody's going to take away from the event is to take home a system that either you can do or you can implement with your staff to very easily do dispositions. And one of the things we're going to talk about a lot today and tomorrow and Sunday is the idea that simple is scalable, right? I've got a friend, Charles, who's like a mad scientist that can do crazy stuff, but that's not always easy to implement with all of your people, right? I mean, sometimes we can all think of like really crazy, complicated scenarios of real estate, but that's really hard to train the average person to bring somebody in off the street. So that's what I'm hoping that you will take from the event. Housekeeping, a couple of things. The very last page of your book, I believe it's the last page, or the next to last page? Next to last page. Okay, so this is something that I learned from a mentor of mine almost 20 years ago. And super smart guy, gazillionaire. And he said, listen, you're going to go to a lot of these events, right? A lot. And there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to write down. And you're going to get home and you're going to have this notebook full of stuff. Okay. And you know what? It's just a lot of stuff. It's just this bucket of crap. Not crap, but it's good, but you don't ever know where to start. But there's going to be 2 or 3 things. If you need to get that, that's cool.
No, I just don't know how to find my phone.
How to mute it? Where's a 12-year-old when you need them? It should be like a...
Somebody's trying to FaceTime me or Google Duo.
Nobody should ever do that without a text first.
Like
Because you never know what's on the other side of that.
Could be exciting.
Or it could be terrible. Guys, we never get that. They get craziness all the time. But, okay, so anyways, there's going to be 2, 3, 4 things that hopefully you're going to take from here that are going to be things that you want to go back and implement as fast as you can. That's what the back of this book is for. It's not like general notes. And I've used that at every event that I've always gone to, so that I know when I get back, hey, here are the 3, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 things at the most. These are things we're going to implement within the next week. So those are like your action items. Those are the most important things. And the other thing, if you don't already have a list of these things, think about it tonight when you get back to your room, is what are the 2 or 3 questions that you need answered that will make all the difference in the world in your business. All right? And that's how I always go to masterminds. Every event that I go to, I'm very intentional of what is the roadblock that's holding me back right now in my business, right? And it's something, we've all got something, right? No matter what level you're at, if it's your first deal or your 1,000th deal, I promise you there's always something that we all have where we're like, geez, how does that person do this, right? How does X, Y, Z, how does that happen? And you're in a room with a bunch of people that do a lot of deals, and if I don't have the answer, somebody in here does, or we will call somebody and get you the answer. So we want to make sure that you go away with that. So housekeeping, put your phone's on mute, sorry. If you have to take a call or you need to jump out, there's an empty office right down at the end of the end of the hall here. The transactions company, there will be nobody there this weekend. Feel free to run down there and if you need to do something. What we want to do is try to be, you're here, you all paid much money to be here, is just be intentional on what we're doing and kind of stay focused. And if you're on Facebook, it's gonna be very hard to retain stuff, but that's up to you. I'm gonna still do my very best. So then the question for you guys, and I'd love to hear from you, like individually, like why are you here? What were you hoping to get? And the reason I'm gonna ask you that is because I'm gonna have that in the back of my head, and as we're going, if you said there's one thing that I know you need, I'll make sure we spend a lot of time on it, because I wanna make sure that we deliver for you. So, Caesar, tell me, Alejandro, I'm sorry, you told me, somebody, Teddy.
We call him
Sorry.
Teddy at the office, but his name's Alejandro.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just a Teddy there, that's why
Yeah.
we call him that.
Okay.
Let's just see Teddy.
I've also been here at 4 o'clock every morning, so I have like spaghetti for brains at this point, so I'm gonna probably mess some stuff up, but yeah, real quick, like you don't have to stand up or anything, just who are you? What's your company name? Just what do you do there? But mostly, tell me what you're looking for.
Yeah, so again, my name is Teddy. Work with HPHS over San Antonio.
Caesar's Ricardo's guy that's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I guess what we want to improve is just how to become better, systemize the out of state type buyers.
Sure.
That's one of the biggest issues that we had. We took it on the chin on that a couple times, but we're here to learn about that.
So you're talking about dropping into a new city and finding buyers. Gotcha. Cool.
Ditto, Teddy. Ray Galvan.
Bob.
Right, Ray Galvan, I'm the floor manager there with Home by Home Sales, with the acquisition managers and dispo managers. Absolutely looking for something tangible that we can walk away with.
Yeah.
So I'm loving that second page, something that we can implement immediately. So
Yeah.
that's fantastic that you have that there. Our system is large, but to your point, we're definitely looking to walk away with something that we can improve ourselves with, right? You're doing something right. We want some of that. So
We're trying.
No, you're doing something right. So we definitely we flew here for a reason, right? So we want to walk away with some of that. We're going to be asking a lot of questions, of course, right? So we're going to be picking your brain quite a bit. We definitely want to improve, like Mr. Teddy said, we want to improve some of our out-of-state buyers, how to find more tangible cash buyers, how to find more qualified buyers, right? There's your tire kickers, there's your people that want to shop around, ask 100 questions, but they're not really solid buyers. So how do we get through that? How do we find better buyers in markets that we have no ideas about?
Yep.
Right. So
We're going to get to a thing here at the end that talks about the dispositions call flow, and that whole thing is set up to weed people out at the beginning. So the way that I like to think about it is like you're on a road, and I don't know where I got this from, somebody, but you make a lot of decisions every day, right? Like we all do. Am I going to go out that door or that door? Like everything is a decision. It's a left or a right, right? Good or bad, left or right, A or B, whatever. So when we're talking to people, and our disposition seems amazing at this, we're at the very beginning, we're always presenting them with an option, like, and one of those things is, hey, we're going to continue this conversation. The other is, I'm going to bring this to a halt as quick as I can, right? So we want to kind of set those markers up at the very beginning, so that you don't spend.
he's on Facebook right now, guys.
No, I know. Somebody needs
Make
to-
sure we make note about this.
There's a cat. There's doing a thing. There's a cat doing a thing.
There's a cat doing a thing on the agenda, right?
Yeah. Big deal.
I'm sorry, one of the live feed people. I'm so sorry. Oops, so sorry.
Are they not in the group?
No, we weren't friends, and I can't add somebody that I wasn't a friend.
Those are the rules.
I think. Oh, no, got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so anyways, we're going to present them with all along the way a lot of questions that are going to lead us in one direction or another. For any of you that are old enough, it's like those old choose your adventure books. Anybody remember those? You get to the end of the chapter, and it's like, Bobby goes down the trash chute. Bobby calls the cat, right? And one of those things leads you to a different spot. Well, that's very, again, I'm not that smart. I just figured things out in a very simplified way. And that's how we approach our conversations with sellers. Because the last thing you want to do, right? We all wholesale and we all understand the cash buyers, right? So the last thing you want to do is spend 2 hours on the phone and get to the end and like, Ray, I love it. If you can give me a contract, I'll get that over to my bank tomorrow. And you're like, wah, wah.
Yep.
Shit, I wasted 2 hours of my life, right? So we want to always try to take that out in the beginning. Cool. Lee?
Lee Gates. I live here in Chattanooga, and so didn't have to come too far.
You won the prize for the closest, right?
That's right. Definitely.
Nobody ever gives a prize for the closest guy,
Yeah,
right?
I don't get prizes, period. So no
We'll get
loss
you,
there.
give you a bag.
I did. I got a T-shirt and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing this for about 5 years. So not super. I am nothing but a salesman. I've never been anything but a salesman my entire life.
That's good. You're in the right business.
Venn Property Solutions is the dispositions arm that I head up. ProSource Home Buyers is our acquisitions outfit. So company headquarters is Knoxville, which is about an hour and a half north of here. And years ago, a buddy of mine was doing this, and I thought he was nuts, and I watched him for a while, and I thought, okay, that looks like fun. And so my part of what I would love to learn here is that I was kind of the first expansion market for us.
Yeah.
And so I called Pat and said, hey, you want to do this in Chattanooga? And he said no. And
Smart guy.
One thing led to another, and here we are. And it's been fantastic, and it's been really good, and a lot of things have been really hard. And we've grown very much inside the bubble. We only in the last little bit have started to kind of like look around and learn from masterminds and that sort of thing. And so I think we're probably a lot like, a critter that's evolved, on Australia or the Galapagos or something like that. There's a lot of things that we do that y'all do, and there's probably a lot of things that y'all do that we do.
Yeah.
But I have this sneaking suspicion that there's probably a ton of stuff that we missed. And so I'm eager to hear from David. I'm very eager to hear from everyone here.
We'll get you guys on some of these cartel trips. And are you in the cartel?
We are.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
we're cartel.
Yeah.
I try and stay pretty quiet on Facebook, so I'm not too.
No, dude, you need to get involved in
Not
those
too
groups.
visible there.
And we'll have actually 4 of the cartel bosses here. Bear Boss, you, Ricardo, and Victor, the investor with cartel bosses. But so I'm going to talk about a couple big mistakes that I made that were like tragic mistakes that put my business behind a bunch of years. But one of them was 100% not getting out and going to masterminds. In fact, one of the first big ones I went to was the HBHS, which guys, I want everybody here to like do the friend request and Instagram thing, because you need to really just build up your network. But anyways, you definitely need to be following HBHS. They do some amazing, cool stuff down there. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I listen to his boss sometimes. I'm like trying to follow it because it's really awesome, high-level stuff. But where I was going with that is when I'm in a room like this with like the other 50 top wholesalers in the country, like we all wholesale, but we all do it different, right? And that's what I'm talking about, where you're going to get those couple of different things. And like every single time I come away with something that's like changes our business, right, Heather? We were in Miami and we're in the very back, and somebody said something. My head popped up and I'm like, am I the only person that however 100 people in here that heard that? Like, I think I am. We pulled out our laptop. Holy shit! I've been doing this for a million years, and I've never known that. And I'm going to show you guys that this weekend. But those are the things that you get in these meetings. That's the little thing that goes on the back page there that will just, you're like, oh my God, that's the dumbest simple thing, and I just figured it. Somebody just told me, and I figured it out. And for anybody that goes to a lot of these types of things, like it's the conversations outside of the room that you'd be talking about, like this dumb thing. Like it could be like, well, how are you collecting EMD? Like, what are you doing when you're in another market? How are you collecting EMD? Oh, well, I'm just doing this. And you're like, right? Because we all have these dumb, crazy things that we have roadblocks for, right? For mine, for a long time, it was, I don't know how we're going to get pictures in Nebraska. Like, how can we go nationwide? We're just not going to be able to, how are we going to get, like, what am I going to do? Like, a ridiculously stupid thing that we do 4 times a day now, but for me, there was a time when that was a roadblock. So that's the type of stuff that you get out of these. So I would encourage you guys to go out and do as much stuff. I mean, it cost me 10 grand to be in Miami 2-3 weeks ago, and that thing we learned will probably make us 60 grand, 70 grand next year. So, cool. You're up.
All right, I'm Courtney. I work with Jerry Green at All Ohio Home Buying up in Dayton, Ohio. So I've been with him about 4 years. He's been doing it probably 27 years.
Way longer than even me.
Yeah, he's been around. So I came on as like more of a lead manager and then just kind of grew in the role. We always had the same dispositions person the whole time I was there. So it was never something I really had to involve myself with. When she left the company, then I was one of the people that kind of had to take up on dispositions, and it was just kind of like learn from what we've always done. So now we have Kim in the role doing dispositions, and so I'm her manager. So I'm kind of trying to help her with what we've always done and how we've done it, but at the same time, like, never had formal training on dispositions, never, you know, really got anything. Like, there's a lot of acquisitions trainings out there, tons of them, but it's like, you never see a dispo one.
It's not there. I mean, I've looked and looked and looked. Because I do dispo, there was a point, and we'll talk about it later, but I had a partner for a while and he handled the acquisition side, so I was just solely dispo, and like, I mean, it was 100% of my attention, and I'm always looking, like I read all of your property emails, I promise you, because I'm always looking for what's that thing that I'm missing, or what's that one thing that I can do different. And Donnie and I were not, like, I showed him, I put something in his email today, I'm like, let me show you where I'm doing it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, those things that you just absorb and keep making better. And also, you guys should all be following Jerry Green, he's freaking amazing, and he's someone that I look up to, and we're in a couple masterminds together. He runs an amazing operation.
So, like, with that, you know, there was just little things I was kind of trying to find out, you know, in your marketing emails, are there certain colors that work best, or any kind of, you know, little things like that.
Yep.
We primarily are Southwest Ohio. We're growing more with the PPC, trying to go more into targeted markets that have the best spreads. So with that, you know, I'm kind of more cautious. I'm nervous, like, well, how are we gonna get our pictures? How are we gonna get boots on the ground? Who's gonna do our showings? Where Jerry's like, just do it. Just do it. Like, don't worry about that. Just do it. So that's kind of one of the things that I want to see, kind of how you guys are doing that, like who you're using to do your inspections and stuff.
I'm gonna write the things that I know are not in the book, because I wrote them, so. But I want to make sure that we address every single thing.
And then like they said with the qualified buyers, like, you know, we can get it out there, but you know, like the one guy posted in Cartel the other day, I think it was Cartel, like with the poacher dude. So it's kind of like, what questions should we be asking to eliminate that from happening? And then just, you know, if you guys have any marketing strategies other than what we're already using, like beyond Facebook and investor lift and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like before we go to, like, let me tell you this about all of investing. It's an art, not a science. Right? So there's no, it's not a science where I can say if you do this many emails, you'll get this many. Like we all, even on acquisitions, like we guess, like we know, we track history, and we'll talk a lot on Sunday about KPIs and tracking and how crucial that is for your business. And that allows you to project based on history. But there's never going to be the perfect, you know. But we will talk about like exactly how we do our marketing. And I wish Nerissa was here, but she left for a wedding in Atlanta. Not her wedding, somebody else's. But Brooke and Olivia and Hannah will be here, and they do a lot of our dispo work. So if you have questions for them, they can definitely answer any of those. But yeah, 100%. We're going to talk all about that.
Cool.
You're up.
I'm Kim Rogers. I am the dispo manager with All Ohio Home Buying in Ohio. I've been a dispo manager for barely 4 months. But I have a history in real estate. I studied real estate for numerous years. I was a licensed realtor in Ohio for a
Not
few
what any
years.
of that means.
I also held my license in Florida.
Really?
I lived in Florida for a while.
What part?
Clearwater.
I still in Seminole.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful over there.
Yes, I did want to come back, but I had children and grandchildren, so. But anyway.
We have a grandson in Florence, Kentucky, so I get it.
Yeah. A couple of things I want to kind of learn or get better at is my negotiating skills.
Yeah.
And, negotiating skills and.
Kim, go home tonight and write that stuff down. It's so intentional. So that, because I'm going to talk about it, and then you can get with Brooke and Olivia back there who do it every single day, and they're amazing. They're killers on the phone.
I know what it is now,
Right.
ARVs.
ARV, yeah.
Yeah, I wanna get more confident, like, I was trained as a realtor, how to do ARVs, and then
And that's gonna be probably pretty close, but if you're
everybody has a different way of doing it,
Yeah.
and everybody comes up with different ARVs, so my acquisition will get one, I'll get one,
Yeah.
my buyer will get one, and none of them match, so. I wanna be more confident
Sure.
in my thought process and how I'm doing those,
Right.
so that I can push back.
Yeah, yeah, we can definitely talk about that, because there are a lot of people that use bad properties for ARVs.
Right.
Lazy wholesalers. And there are times when we have a deal where like, oh, it's not as good as I really like it to be.
Right, yeah.
Like, you
That
know,
doesn't
listen,
happen to any of us.
listen, yeah, listen, we all work really hard, and our acquisitions teams work really hard, and, you know, I don't want to get too far ahead, but like, not every deal is perfect, right? Let's all be real clear right now. You know, these people are like, I had an $80,000 deal, I post on Facebook, and everybody's like, where did you get your deal, right? If you're doing any kind of volume, you're just not, you can't, there's nobody that maintains $50,000 and $80,000 deals, right? You know, we have some software that makes it better, InvestorLift, our users, the users have an average of like 36,000 for assignment fees, but you're gonna, it's an average, right? There's fives, there's days where we take it in the shorts and we do, what, like 1,500, and you're like, just get this thing out the door. The girls are tired of talking about this deal. Just get whatever you can get and get it out the door. But then the next day they're about 45 or 44 and 39s. You know, so those happen. But yeah, we're definitely going to talk about all of that stuff. You're up.
Militia with the dual properties, the other half, I work with Johnny, my husband, so he's been training me to help out more in the business.
Yeah.
So I'm just here to learn everything that I can. I do more operations and systems, making sure, you know, things are running and. we
You're
have
cracking the whip,
processes.
aren't you?
Yeah.
I know you are.
I know, yeah, that's me, and, want to get better at the KPIs.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. That's probably the two biggest mistakes I made. That was not understanding or making that reporting was tragic in my early years. I'm just saying, we're gonna talk all about that. You're up, man. Do it. You're on the spot. You're crumbling.
My name is Johnny from Dual Properties. Just coming to learn to strengthen my negotiation skills. We're doing the PPC. Just want to get more better at being able to find qualified buyers. How to vet out to get the pictures. I have a system, but I want to make sure it's accurate, that we can actually get the pictures. And just strengthen what I've learned already, just to get more confident in what I'm doing.
Yeah, 100%. Like having that confidence is really important. I tell people I've done a lot of deals where it's subject to, and I'm like, hey Lee, hey, so we're gonna do all this stuff. Hey man, I need your social security number. I need to get this done. Like when you say it like that, people are like, okay, like because you said it with authority and confidence. But if I'm like, so Lee, I need to get your social security number. Is Lee gonna give it to me? Probably not, because he gets sensitive and I'm nervous, right? So the tonality that you use and you speak to is just so incredibly important. There's a great video Jordan Belfort does that we watch all the time that talks about like tonality is incredibly important, and that's the art of this, right? I can tell you all of the right things to say, but if you don't have that tonality, it's not going to happen. John, you were on the call yesterday, right? Somebody or Black. What was that guy's name that messaged you? John Black. Joseph Black, which you should follow him too. He's an amazing dispo guy for Nick Perry. But he said he was on the phone and he was texting with some guy, and he was like out at $100,000, and the guy's offering 80. And he's literally on the phone as he's texting because we're all multitasking. And this other guy was offering him $100,000. So he's texting with the other guy or whatever it was, reverse. He's like, hey dude, I just got another person at 100. Like, what do you want to do? He's like, oh, I'll do it. Turns out, the funny story is the guy on the phone with 100 or text, whatever it was, different property completely. But because he said it with that authority of, hey, Kim, it's $100,000. What are we doing here, right? And we'll talk a whole ton about that in our when we go through our call flow sheet. But yeah, tonality, right? Tonality and confidence. So If you're nervous, I promise you make them nervous. You know? And I'm not saying that you are, but I'm just, if you ever project that, you know, if you're like just taking an axe to your probability that it's gonna close. You're up.
Yeah.
What's funny on this side of the table? What are you gonna do?
I don't know. My name is Jennifer, with JMK Property Solutions with my husband Kurt. I am very much a supporting role in this. He is definitely the front line, but so I'm here just for that, you know, to learn systems, to be able to help him implement. For us to scale, we are in our local markets and definitely looking to expand in that aspect as well. So he'll go into more detail.
Do it.
Yeah, so my name is Kurt. Our local markets are Baton Rouge and New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm basically just here to, kind of like everyone else touched on, sharpen my negotiation skills, get better at marketing, and I mean really and truly just maximize our spreads and our deals. I want to make sure I'm squeezing everything I can on the, you know, on the back end, because we work so hard to obviously get those contracts. So yeah.
I love it. So who's local and who's nationwide, or in multiple markets? Like markets you can't drive to. Not kind of starting to. You guys are right. You're in multiple markets. Okay, cool. And you are. Oh, all right. So do you guys, does you want to do that or no?
Well, ours is kind of like sporadic. You know, our true meat of everything is Dayton, Cincinnati kind of areas, but then we might, you know, get one in Illinois, get one in Georgia. Like it's just kind of spread out. So they're trying to be more dialed in to where we're going to do our PPC, and just kind of focus that marketing money on certain areas.
Yes, we'll talk a lot about that. Yeah, everybody talks about how much profit or how much you do in assignment fees, right? Yay, we did $1 million in assignment fees, but if we spend $800,000 on cost and then before we paid anybody, like he didn't make any money,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, marketing is one of your biggest expenses after payroll, after paying your team. So you want to make sure that you're being very intentional about that and not spending money in the wrong places. And yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. All right, so I did these slides yesterday, and I don't know what the next one is, so it's gonna be a surprise for all of us. Okay, so that's our little agenda. We talked about that. Okay, so I do a ton of training, and this is why my staff always heckles me because I can never draw a straight line. But we're gonna try it anyways. We're gonna do like a little timeline here. It's not bad. Listen, I've been worse. I think it's when I try to go high, maybe my arm gets tired by the time I get to the other end. So, and we're going to talk a whole ton about this, but one of our like driving forces here is start with the end in mind. And that's kind of reverse engineering. If any of you have like that kind of background, you'll understand this for sure. In a particular transaction, John, you know the answer that I talked about yesterday. What is the end goal? Close the deal and what?
Money in the bank.
Cash the check. Money, right? That's it. I promise you, everything else that we're doing here doesn't matter, right? That's what matters. The fact that I make them, they hate wearing shirts, by the way. Like I have to coax them for 3 days. I'm like, I take y'all to lunch. You can just wear shirts, matching shirts this weekend. It'd be great, I promise you. I love you all. But anyways, yeah, you know, shirts with logos, cool. Does it matter? No, right? It's great for teamwork and all that, but does it matter? It's not the thing that the thing that matters. The thing that matters at the end of the day is cashing checks. You know, does everybody wear red shoelaces? It'd be really cool, but does it matter? No. Cashing checks is what matters. And what happens is I've seen in so many companies is they get distracted by all the other stuff, right? So super, super, super important that you understand that everybody in your team, on your team, has to be kind of like soldiers, right? That you've got to be marching in lockstep. Because if acquisitions team's kind of running in this direction and marketing's over here, and disposition's trying to be over here, and dispo marketing is here, and your owners are in some other direction, you're just going to be a big messy ball of yarn. So everybody in your company has to understand what the end goal is, and they have to be intentional about it. So all the way at the beginning, when you're starting to pull your even pulling your marketing before you deploy it, you have to understand what the end goal is, right? So real quick, and I won't spend a ton of time on it, but just to give you a short thing. So we want to close deals, right? Ultimately, who is it that's making that money happen?
The buyer.
The buyer, right? All right. Now you guys are all super advanced, so we all understand why we have to have a cash buyer, right? Do I need to talk about that for anybody? Okay. I meant to say this earlier when you guys were at the end of your introducing yourselves. The kind of speaker I am, and I'm way better with questions than me just standing up here looking at you and talking. So I promise you, questions are really good for me because it will pull a lot more out.
There may be some of us in the room who actually believe they can overcome cash buyers and try and figure out how to sell to others.
You can.
It's kind of a fool's errand.
Well, you can do
it's-
novations.
It's being beaten out of me slowly.
Okay. Yes, it should be. If you're going to be run, and let me say this before we go any further. There are a lot of ways to do real estate, right? It's like being a doctor. You can be the eye doctor, the nose doctor, the elbow doctor, the butt doctor, the toe doctor, the knee doctor, whatever, right? There's a lot of ways to do it. Same way with real estate, right? We can do land development, we can do condo conversions, we can do flips, we can do wholesale, we can do lease options, you can do novations. There are a lot of things you can do, right? And the one that you do should match your personality, right? I'm a talky person, kind of, but what I'm not is a paperwork person. I'm not the person that wants to sit on the phone with the bank all day and negotiate short sales. Not my personality at all, right? So in all of those types of real estate, you have to pick the type that matches your personality. But if you're going to be in wholesaling, and what we run, and everything we're going to talk about here is wholesaling. So if you want to see how it relates to other businesses, that's fine. Or other niches. We can definitely talk about that. So just take everything that we're saying from the standpoint of wholesaling. So we run a very high-speed wholesaling operation, right? We are good at one thing. We are here at wholesale. We were talking a little earlier about doing owner finance deals, and I've done a ton of them. We can definitely talk about owner finance deals until the sky comes down. But the way that we're set up for wholesale. And we used this example a little bit earlier. Think of like Little Caesars, right? They make a pretty good pizza, but they make a lot, right? And they're set up to do one thing, pizza, maybe some toppings, but pizza, right? So there's a guy who takes the stuff off the truck, puts it in the freezer, a guy who takes it out of the freezer, or a girl puts it on the counter, somebody who does the flipping thing, somebody does the sauce, somebody else throws the topping on, it goes in the oven, somebody catches it, cuts it, somebody rings it up, and it goes out the door, right? That's the way our wholesale operation is set, right? We have somebody that does marketing. We have somebody that does acquisitions. We have somebody that does underwriting. We have somebody that does marketing for Dispo. We have somebody that gets on the phone with buyers, and we have transactions people. And every single person along the way is the very best, I think, in the industry at what they do, right? But, so, to go back to Little Caesars. Little Caesars makes a pretty good pizza. Honestly, it's not that bad in the big scheme of things. But if I go in there tomorrow and say, hey, I really like a soft taco, that fucking place is gonna crumble to its knees because they're not built for that, right? So understand what you're building in your company. If you're building a wholesale company, be a wholesale company, right? Because once you get outside your lane and you start trying to, until that wholesaling company is solid or whatever your primary niche is, until that's solid, don't get outside it. I mean, and I've been doing this a long time. Randy's been doing this a long time with us, and every time somebody starts, that shiny object syndrome, they start doing a bunch of different things, and they're done in 6 months, because they're not going to be successful, because they're not, anyways, they're not getting any traction. So, all that to say, cash deal, cash buyers, can you just give me access to the, just share it with me and I'll pull it tonight or something.
Starts
Wow.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So we're closing deals, cash buyers, right? So cash buyers, what do they all say? I just not going to give me a cash buyer, cash is king, and we've all heard that nonsense, right? So we'll talk about how we confront that with our call. We tell them right up front, hey, We only deal with serious cash buyers. We know what we do in life, see it. So anyways, cash buyers, let's say, and I don't want to get too far off track, but, and on its best day, it's a $100,000 property that you'd list online, or list on MLS. Well, obviously that person can go to the bank and get a loan, put 20% down. So what we are asking the buyer for is to give us 100% down, right? No financing. So we have to be offering some kind of a discount. And where you're at in the market cycle is going to depend on how much of a discount that is, right? So we understand cash buyers, they want something at a discount, right? What is it that they want?
A good deal.
Good deal what?
So they can,
I tell that to people all the time, and that aren't in our business, and they're like, "Oh, do you have a house with a pool? Do you have a house with shrubs? Do you have a house on the bus line?" And no, what investors want is a functional property that they can get a return on, right? And you're going to see where all this comes together here in 1 second. They can make money on it as a return. I know y'all appreciate my fine writing skills. So we're trying to make money. We know we've got to sell to a cash buyer. And we know they want a functional property that they can get a return on. Right? So functional means this: we've all sold a house or gotten a house in where it's this 900 square foot little 2-bedroom house, but that was what it started at. But the buyer's like, the seller, it's 2,000 square foot. It's in the hottest part of town. You're like, great, and you run those comps, and you're like, holy smokes, 160 is a deal, right? But the house is the 2-bedroom, and they went 4 additions this way, 3 additions this way. Upstairs is the master bath that you got to go through 2 bedrooms to get through, right? That is what's called functionally obsolete, right? It ain't no good. It's really 3,000 square foot, but it ain't 3,000 functional feet, and it's not going to sell for like what a normal 3,000. Does everybody make sense? Okay. So, but also within functional is understanding what the repairs are, right? So we need to understand that. And then within all of that, there's 2 types of buyers. What are the 2 main types of buyers, you guys think? Rehabbers, right? And what else? Landlords. Okay. So we all know that, right? On the dispo side, everybody who's ever sold a property, we understand that there's 2 basic types. And within landlords, there's Section 8, Airbnb, student housing, like we get that, right? But 2 main types. So the way this guy makes money is definitely going to be different from the way this person makes money, right? Okay. Again, all of this is Forrest Gump simple. But here's the thing. How many of your acquisitions people understand this? How many? None, right? So what are they doing? When it comes to dispo, what is it? It's like you feel like you're dragging bricks up a hill sometimes, right? Your whole company has to understand, start with the end in mind. They have to. Because if not, are you two trying to mess me up? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, I've everything you're saying, I'm acquisitions, and it helps to know this well, nothing wrong. I'm learning.
So cash buyer, functional property that somebody can make money on. So if your acquisitions person comes up to you and is like, hey, I got this great deal. I'm like, tell me more. What do you have? I'm gonna make money, right? And they're like, I got this deal. I'm getting it for $240. I'm like, yeah, what's it worth? Zillow said $300. I'm like, not a fucking deal. Send that shit back. Get back to negotiating, right? Because if you don't teach them and they don't understand this and they don't understand how a deal works and how the money happens, like what are they going to do all day long? They're just going to be pumping you deals that don't make any sense. Now you spend money on marketing, you spend money on payroll. You're going to be desperate. And you're going to be like, all right, I'm giving this to Brooke back there, and Brooke's going to call the phone book for Cleveland, right? she's going to call every single buyer that's existed, and listen. Let me say this: everything will sell, right? Everything will sell. There is a bigger fool theory where sooner or later you will find somebody who will buy that. But how much time and energy and resources do you have to put into those deals? Right? There's a finite amount. And in our business, my business, I've always done this as sort of the gatekeeper for Dispo. I feel like I'm standing on the beach and I'm always just watching that tidal wave coming at me. What's coming? Like, what's coming? Like, I'm always gauging, like, Heather, what do you got? We had this conversation yesterday. Like, how's it going? What do you got coming? What's in the pipe? What's close? Because I need to know, like, the avalanche of contracts that are coming at me, 6 or 8 every single week, because I need to move the old stuff out. But yeah, closed deals, cash buyers, functional property that can make money. How to, and we'll talk way more about this, but how do rehabbers make money? How do landlords make money? Your acquisitions people have to understand that. Because otherwise, if they can't do those calculations, they're just going to put stuff. They don't even know where to start. If the only instructions you're giving to your acquisitions people are 45% of Zillow, go. Well, I mean, that's going to work 2 out of 10 times, right? I mean, it's going to work sometimes, but how much stuff are you going to contract, and what's going to happen is, one, you're going to have a big fallout rate. You have a huge contract fallout rate, and you're going to piss a lot of people off, right? And understand this, and I tell our people this all the time. Listen, what we do to us, it's paper, it's pictures, we're wholesaling, we're assigning, right? Because we become numb to the whole thing, that we're just doing this all the time, it's just another deal. But when our acquisitions people are talking to a seller, like, this person is really planning, like, this is it. Like, when they sign a contract to them, they don't do this a lot. This is a thing for them, right? They're getting storage pods and moving their stuff. Like, when they go under contract, all they're looking at is, when am I closing, when am I getting my money, when am I moving, right? Because we're solving some kind of pain point for that person. So, don't be that person that's out there just slapping shit under contract. Like, oh, I'll just go back and renegotiate. We'll talk about renegotiating. Sometimes it has to happen. But I personally know investors who put stuff under contract and like, I'll go back later and get 20 or 30,000. And I saw your team had one amazing today at 50, which is awesome for her. There are times to renegotiate, right? But no, and I know Jerry doesn't do this, but you don't ever just go into it like, I'll just fix this later and I can beat him up later. That's a real move. A little shade. No, there are a lot of realtors that will just put the sign in the front yard that, oh, you think it's worth 400? I like it, right? And then they're like, oh, we'll bring it back to reality later. So don't do that, because when somebody contracts with us, we are telling them, hey, I'm going to buy your house. We're going to get this done. I'm going to pay you. So, and also on the flip side, on your Dispo side, right? These people are really showing up with $200,000, $300,000. They are really wiring real money to the title company. Like, don't ever get cavalier like, dude, you should buy this house because it's a deal. What are you, crazy? It's fucking $300,000. Like, it's real money. Right?
People are cashing out their futures.
Yeah.
To take a risk.
Right.
On
That you're telling them,
telling
right?
Yeah.
So
you gotta remember that.
Yeah. So being great at negotiating is awesome. We had somebody at our old office, and he was scary good on the phone. Like, I'm okay, but this guy, like, I would just sit there and listen, like in awe, because he was so good on the phone, so good. But you know what he did? He got people to sign contracts, and like 2 days later, people were always like, I've changed my mind. Because he was just that person that could convince people to sign a contract. And all those people that he like talked into signing contracts, it's great, right? He's getting contracts, but man, they're a pain in the ass all the way to closing, because they don't want to do it. They just, some people just have that magic, that just secret thing that they can do. And this kid just had the talent, a way to do it. So, beat that enough. So why is all that important? How does it apply to your business? I don't know. Tell me. I mean, do the acquisitions, do the marketing people understand this in your business, right? So a couple of things, and we'll talk a lot more about this. And Randy and I used to talk about this in Chattanooga all the time. Where are people buying at, right? Another thing too is I've been doing this for years. When you think of like an in-ground pool, like a side view, right? Pool, water, right? Okay. If the deep end of the pool and there's a shallow end of the pool, right? We're getting 2 types of buyers. You're going to sell the $800,000 property and the $100,000 property. Back when it was me and Randy 12 years ago, we were talking about the $12,000 property and the $100,000 property, but times have changed. Do you think there's more or less people with 80 or more or less people with 100? So 800 is the shallow end of the pool. Where are there more buyers? Right? Again, Forrest Gump stupid, right? But you have to understand that because this is going to lead into your market, right? So that's one part of it, right? Let's target the more people, right? The bigger buying pool you have, the better it is, right? I know you think it's flashy to sell an $800,000 property, but I promise you, you're only making 20 grand there too. So let's at least work in the place where we can do the most number of properties. When when we started doing this in 2009, we were all about being on the other side of the bridge here, and the bad hood, whatever, call those whatever you hate those words, but the lower
My
end.
favorite part of town.
It is too, man. Me and Randy made so much money, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Take me to East Ridge.
Over there, yeah.
Let's go.
So, understand, like, low-hanging fruit. There's not one thing wrong with low-hanging fruit. It's okay to get the other stuff too, but like, low-hanging fruit's the stuff that's going to keep you going every single day. So, when you're looking at a market, you need to understand where the majority of the transactions are happening. Target that, right? It's so easy for all investors to structure their business around their vanity. Right? We talk a lot about there are really two types of buyers, right? Especially like here in town, we've seen it. I know guys that have stuff in the hood or the low end, the low rent areas, and my God, they're making a killing. I know some guys that I feel like they own half the city over there. Those $700-800 rentals are just cranking every single month. And all of you guys have done this, right? You've got a call from a buyer. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. Do you have anything over in the good part of town, East Brain, or whatever your hot area is? I'm like, not for $70,000. So those are people that just only want to invest in the nice area because they want to drive their friend by to say, hey, look at this house I have. Well, it's probably not a house that they're making any money on. So two types of investors: those that are investment driven and those that are ego driven. Right? You've probably dealt with more buyers than any of us here. So, anyways, focus on the spot where you have the highest probability of doing deals, and then within that, think of like little fishing holes all around town. Right? You go to the one that's been tapped out for 10 years, and you can go there all day long. You can put the best bait on your hook and put it in the middle of the pond. And what are you going to catch? Turtle. Maybe you'll catch something. But you can also go over to this really nice place that Fish and Wildlife just did a dump truck full of fish into. Where do you want to spend your time? If you're just looking for a hobby, you should definitely be in the other one. Pause, fishing hollow. I'm on this thing, I gotta feed my family. I got a wife, 2 boys, and 3 fat dogs. I'm going over there, right? So that has to, I say all of that because that's got to be, your marketing people have to understand that. Have to, right? If you're on the plan of, I want to do nationwide pay-per-click, it's cool, and you're like, I have leads at $8 a piece. Yeah, but how many of those leads can you do anything with? You gotta go through 10 of them to get one that's good. I would much rather spend less money, target my pay-per-click or your SMS or your cold calling or whatever it is, and being an area where I'm gonna get a faster and better return out of it, right? Because you're like, well, you do 10 pay-per-click leads or one of those, yeah, but what's the time cost? How many calls do I have to mow on the phone for to find that 1 out of 10, right? It's dumb, don't do that. So marketing, we're going through all of that to get to this. Marketing and acquisitions. All right. They're two different things. If they don't understand where you're going, you're probably not going to get there. Or you're going to have just a ton of problems. I thought about trying to put this like on a fancy, like on the page there, and I'm like, I do not have time to, listen, I'm the kind of guy that if I get my Excel sheet to add at the bottom, I feel like a freaking rock star. So just so you understand where my technology limits are.
Gotcha. I'm not a scribe kind of guy, I'm a picture taker.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with that, so take pictures of whatever you want. So does that make sense? And can you ever see where that flaw is in your company? Where so many people just neglect the whole idea, thank you, ma'am, of the front half of your business, understanding how the back half of your business operates. You're just like, oh, Dispo is selling. Market's hot. They'll make it happen. And then they're all pissed off when Kim doesn't sell something. Well, shit. She's giving me crap, right? So anyways, and that's not to say that one side is better than the other. Both of your teams have to work together. We're lucky that our people walk back and forth and like, hey, I got this deal over here. What do you think we can get for it? Or like, you know, and we also have meetings with our Dispo people in acquisitions where we're like, hey, so here are the challenges that we're having in this market, and that's not an acquisition issue. That's, hey, we just dropped into this market. Here's what we're learning, right? So we're going to try to learn as fast as we can. So does that make sense? Good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir, me, sir, my dad. But anyways, so think about that and how you can take that back and implement that into your business, so that the money you're spending is spent smart. The time that your team is doing for you is spent in the right direction. Cool. So this is, you probably can't see this, it's not in your book. What made me put this in is I was talking to Heather yesterday, and this is, you can see this has got like little pinholes. Like I've had this on my wall at my old office for probably 10 years. Probably since Randy was working with us. But anyways, what it says is this is a simple business. Good Lord. Do not overcomplicate it. I've got it in my office. I'll give you a picture of it. Or you can take it if you want. It's fine. So do not overcomplicate what you're doing. We buy houses. We sell houses. Very simple, right? Some people love to like make this like crazy chicken soup out of what we're doing. And all this is old, so you know, signs, generic message. We buy houses, right? I mean, again, this is like 2012 signs, a different kind of signs with targeted messages, postcards, online ads, Craigslist, postlets. That tells you how old this is, right? Who remembers postlets? You remember postlets, the V flyers, Freedom Soft. But anyways, I made myself a sign to put on my wall because it's so easy to go down all these rabbit holes, and you see something on Facebook, and you know somebody's always creating this new name for something like house hacking, deal hacking. It's all the same stuff that everybody's been doing for 67 years. But this is again with Heather and what we do here is we try very hard to keep it simple. Simple is scalable. So I don't want you to more complicated. Simple is scalable. So it doesn't matter if you can do it, right? Lee's smart, Ray's smart. But can you bring somebody in off the street and then we train them to do this, right? If you guys haven't seen that movie, The Founder, has everybody seen it, The Founder? It's incredible. Like, go watch it again and then look at your business through those eyes. I get it, he stole the business from the McDonald's brothers. Maybe, I don't know. Always, the lesson there is always have your stuff in writing. But that scene where they're in the gymnasium or wherever it is and they taped out the building and they're trying to simplify the job down to its simplest, lowest common denominator. That's how you should approach your business, right? It's got to be simple if it's going to run at a high speed. Just like Little Caesars, right? They're not asking any of them kids to stand on their head and do something and flip pizzas with their feet. So it doesn't matter if you can do it. Can you hire somebody in your company tomorrow and train them in a relatively short amount of time, right? To do that job. So when you're growing out and scaling out your business, if you haven't done that already, simple is scalable. Complicated is hard to scale. Very, very difficult, right? So if you're going to try to scale nationwide doing, some crazy type of transaction, it's going to be difficult to find enough people that are smart enough that you can teach them to. So simple is scalable. I've run out of room on my walls for stickers, by the way, if you go into our office, but otherwise we'd have that up there. So this is for you guys. I'm not going to ask you, but I do want you to write this down. Take just a minute. Actually, we're going to do this. We're going to take a quick break, because I know she can only run about 2 hours on the Facebook Live where he has to stop it and then reset the feed. So, housekeeping. So bathrooms are in the hall here. If you need to make a call, you can use either of the offices. But yeah, we're going to take a quick 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and then we can do this, or you can do it in the break. Now what we want to do is, where do you think you're going to end for the year? All right, I want you to write that down. And then what's your 2022 goal? Right? If you haven't figured that out, estimate it for now. But everybody should, before the end of the year, you all should, in your businesses, sit down and say, what is our goal for 2022? Because if you don't have a plan, you're not going to get there. So where do you want to be in 2022? you're talking about doubling your business, fantastic. Let's talk about where you're at now, where you want to go, and like what are the things that you need to implement to make that happen? Is it hire 2 people? Is it do a bigger deal? Like what is that thing, right?
Potentially more offers.
KPIs, man, we're gonna talk about that, number of offers we made. So then what's the difference and how do you get there? So let's take a quick 10-minute break and then we'll come back to it. Does anybody want a picture of this before I erase it? If you don't, that's okay. It's not exactly anything. All right. Ray's got it if you